I'm going Nap on in the Queen Anne Stakes. First race on day one.
So this is the biggest price selection of all the 10. I really fancy this horse.
Yeah, I mean, if this one does go in, you can go to La Trinidad and Bermuda. Hello and welcome to a very special episode of GG Weekend Watch. This is our Royal Ascot preview show. My name is Tracey, and alongside me, as always, but in person this time, Andrew Mount and Dave Young. Dave, we're back.
Yeah, it's exciting to be back, isn't it? Royal Ascot's the best flat meeting of the season. 5 proper good days of racing, lots of horses to get stuck into. And it's exciting to do the same format that we did for Cheltenham, the top 10 stuff, because as much as that was a bit of a car crash festival, wasn't too bad in this format. So fingers crossed we're more the same.
Yeah, we've followed the same format again. It seemed to go down really well, Andrew, the last time, didn't it? As Dave said there, we're going to give your top 10 best bets for Countdown. Also the quiz in the middle, though.
Yeah, I'm going to try to avoid picking 5 non-runners like I think I did at Cheltenham. And I'm confident with the quiz this time that I'm going to beat my Cheltenham high score of 0 or 1. I can't remember which one it was, but the spread's on between 1 and 3 this time around. I've been revising.
Yeah, we've set a very low bar for the quiz that we're hoping to beat. So you've actually done well in that sense that we can only go up from there in terms of the quiz for Royal Ascot, can't we? So make sure to stay tuned for that then. That will come up at the midpoint of the show. But of course, this show is sponsored by Betano. And Betano have an offer for Ascot. Bet 10, get 50 when you use the sign-up code ASCOT50. Also, best odds guaranteed starting Royal Ascot week with Betano. And we've got to give some shout outs as well to some of our members, the YouTube members, Francis Kelly and Chris Hensey. Your support really does help this channel. So thank you so much for that. And it does mean that we get to do more shows like this. So if you want to become a channel member, there will be a link in the comments. We really appreciate your support as always. Right, lads, your naps will be boosted, so we will get to that in due course, but we better kickstart with your top 10. Andrew, you're up first.
Yeah, number 10, I'm going with Underwriter in the Coventry Stakes for Archie Watson. Underwriter was big eye catcher on his debut at Ayr. Very rare for Archie Watson to run a 2-year-old first time out at that track. He's done it 4 times in his career. 3 of those horses won, including Army of Ethos and Electrolyte. Now, those 2 both went to the Coventry Stakes at Royal Ascot next time out, and both finished second. So Army of Ethos, second at 20 to 1, beating a neck, I think, traded at 1.9 in running. Electrolyte, second at 40 to 1, amazingly traded at 1.04 in running. So his 2 previous Ayr 2-year-old debutants gone to Royal Ascot, run blinders in the Coventry at big prices. Now, what took me about Underwriter's first time out victory at Ayr was that he was up with the pace into the headwind. Now, he cut out the early running that day with another front runner, Sunny Smile. They raced side by side. Neither got cover from the headwind. Now, he had Sunny Smile almost 5 lengths back in 3rd place that day. And that was quite a performance given the strength of the wind. So I think he's going to run a really big race here. And we know how well Archie Watson's been doing at Royal Ascot. Holly Doyle on board, no doubt. And I think he's going to run a big race.
At 14 to 1 as well. Now, these prices are at the time of recording, just to give you that side note there. But Underwriter then in the Coventry Stakes at 14 to 1 with Betano to kickstart for Andrew. Dave, over to you.
Yeah, well, it's not WAFNAM, but it wouldn't be Royal Ascot without a WAFNAM runner, would it? Mine is kind of borrowed, but it's not. We can all have the same opinion, can't we? But it's Volterra for the Royal Hunt Cup. The reason I say it's borrowed is because Matty, a few weeks ago on the Weekend Watch, did suggest this horse before he ran last time out when he was still 20 to 1 with Betano. Now, he's been raised £5 by the handicapper, but the timing of that race means he doesn't carry a penalty going into this race, or he doesn't get reassessed. So he's £5 well in, essentially. And in that run last time, he was 3rd in the end off the front. Not saying he should have won or they were doing anything to not win the race, but he ran such a good race that another year it might have been a winning performance. And even if he had the £4 penalty on him, I still think that he would have been fine coming into this race. But obviously he doesn't. He gets in £5 well in. It was his first run for 238 days as well. And like I said, I think they were probably trying their best, but you would expect that he's going to improve further for it. We do always look for previous course form when you come to races like this, or I like to anyway. And at first glance, he's 11th of 29 in the Britannia last year. He was sent off joint favour, and it does look a bit underwhelming, but he was first of 10 in his group on that side. All the horses that were in front of him were drawn 12 stalls or higher than him, and the next nearest single-figure drawn runner was all the way back in 18th. There's lots of like draw bits with this that can help as well, which we don't have that information at the moment. But I just think his performance last time out and the nature of this horse looking a group horse in training, that he's going to go very well in the Royal Hunt Cup. I think he's 8-1 is, I want to say, probably tight enough at the moment. Once we see the draw, it looks like, I think we've had horses winning from stalls 4 to 11, but then we've had other horses winning from 20 plus, so that could make a bit of a difference. But if he gets a good draw, so in between 4 and 11 and or 20 plus, his price might contract a bit, but you'd have a bit more confidence. If he doesn't get such a good draw, then maybe his price will go out a bit, but I still think he'll be bang there. So Volterra is number 10 for me in the Royal Hunt Cup.
He's very well in as well, isn't he? When you see his revised mark, so 8-1 for the Royal Hunt Cup. Like you say, he has shortened up then. Not too many people have missed that really good reappearance run last time out. So Volterra it is for Dave at number 10. Andrew, back to you for number 9.
Number 9, I'm going with Utmost Respect for Richard Fahey. Now, this one is 33-1 with Bertano in the Norfolk Stakes. He could also run in the Coventry. So although I've tipped Underwriter for that, I will also be backing Utmost Respect if he runs in that. Now, this says it's trained by Richard Fahey. He made his debut in a hot Class 2 novice contest over 5 furlongs at York at the Dante meeting. Now, when I looked at that race, it was evident that those horses with experience hadn't recorded the sort of speed figure that was the class par for a race of that nature. So I was immediately drawn to the newcomers. I basically backed the wrong one. Utmost Respect went off at 11-4 and finished second. The race was won by Richard Hannon's Ballistic Missile. However, that doesn't tell the whole story, because Utmost Respect ran green, failed to settle, got hemmed in on the inside, and had to wait for an age for Oceanor to pull him out. And when he did, I mean, he sort of switched at sort of a sharp 45-degree angle. Looks like he's going nowhere. Taken off, flown down the outside of the track, and got beaten half a length. It was basically, a horse who looked absolutely certain to pick up a small race next time if they went for another race before Royal Ascot. But they're coming straight here. And the good thing as well is that Fahey's turf runners are now in much better form. In March, April and May, he had 141 turf runners, only 9 winners. He'd lost over £100 back in those blind. So far in June, at the time of recording, he's 3 from 17 and a profit of £22.63. He had a good time at Epsom last week. So with the Fahey horses coming to form, Utmost Respect, desperately unlucky on his debut. And I think he's going to run a big race wherever they send him.
Yeah, and the Thursday for the first race then, you are going to kickstart, hopefully, in very good style. 33-1 with Bertano for Utmost Respect in the Norfolk. Right, Dave? That's a bit of a hospital pass back to you now as soon as we've got a 33-1-er in.
I know, yeah. So it is like a shorter price runner relatively compared to that. And the reason this horse is all the way down in 9 is because he's a horse that I've failed to get right. So it's in the QE2. It is Inner Sharon. Around about 4-1, I think he is, which seems like a fair enough price. Now, the French Raider Lizat recorded a 125 RPI last time out. That was over the shortest trip that horse has running. I think it was a listed race then, but there was horses that were well beaten behind that have come out and won group races since, and he absolutely hammered all over them. But I feel like some of those horses were maybe prepping. It wasn't to be taken fully at face value, despite the fact that the RPR looks good. Before that, though, he ran at 6.5 furlongs, posted 124 RPR. So look, he's technically the best horse in this field. You'd probably argue at this trip on those Racing Post ratings. He got beat by Lake Forest over 7.5 furlongs. That was over in Rosehill in Australia in the Golden Eagle. Then he still ran well in the Hong Kong Mile. It's easy for you to say, despite only finishing 9th. They're proper valuable and high-class races. He's clearly got loads of ability. He travels well, not only in his races, but obviously when he's travelling across the globe as well. He has got plenty of speed, but I just don't believe that 6 furlongs against proper 6 furlong horses is going to see him to his best effect. I think if this was over 7 furlongs, Lizette would win this, but it's not. It's over 6. And Inner Sharon's the horse that I have got wrong so many times. After last season's 2,000 guineas, he dropped back in trip, didn't he? And I was against him for a few runs. And as much as I was against him in the few runs, and he did fluff his lines, such as the July Cup and the Haydock Sprint Cup, you go back to his early season form. It was a phenomenal run in that Guineas. He's been very good in his races after. He obviously won this time last year, even though it wasn't probably one of the deepest renewals. But you go back to, it's over 12 months ago now, you go back to March last year, and he beat Kalpana, that's going to go and win an arc. She was shouldering a penalty, but it just goes to show, a bit like Lizat, at a mile, he can still mix it with proper horses. But he just looks so quick now. I can't believe that he picked up Flora Bermuda after she headed him in that Clipper Stakes at York. He was well fancied that day. He was given a cracking ride by Ryan Moore, but he just genuinely looks quicker than ever. And that was my concern with him last season. I just didn't think he was quite quick enough for 6 furlongs, but I think he's quicker than Lazat, and I think we're going to find that out on the Saturday.
Yeah, I can't wait to see him. He's a horse where, like you say, it feels like all of us have got just a slightly strained relationship with this horse because he's so tricky to get right, but when he's good, he's very, very good. Like say, Commonwealth Cup winner last year. So going back to Ascot this time around and over the 6 furlongs again, Inish Erin does look a good play, 4-1 with Bitano. Right, Andrew, back to you, please, for number 8.
Right, I'm going with a horse called Loom, trained by Richard Fahey. This is likely to go in the Palace of Holyrood House, the 5 furlong handicap that's only been going for 5 years. A couple of stats stand out from this race so far. Fillies are 0 from 38 in the 5 runnings of the race. And horses ridden patiently last time out and 0 from 37. So although Ascot's straight track traditionally favours horses who come from behind, this is such a sort of speed test that generally you need to have shown a bit of your early toe in your latest race. Now, he was a big eye catcher last time out at York. He only finished 6 of 13, but he was beaten 3 lengths in an all-aged handicap. He was poorly drawn in stall 3 towards the far side when the action unfolded stand side and centre. And the form's been boosted since. The 3rd place, JM Jungle, horse we often mention on Weekend Watch. He, of course, won the Dash at Epsom last week when I deserted him, having been with him last time. And the 5th place, Miss Attitude, finished a narrow second to course expert Regal Envoy at Windsor on Monday earlier this week. Now, he emerged best of the 3-year-olds that day, and that race has been a bit of a graveyard for the classic generation. There have been 2 winners in the last 10 years, but one of those was Starlust last year, who won that handicap before going on to winning Grade 1 company at the Breeders' Cup, of course. Basically, you can take the best performing 3-year-old out of that race and follow them for the rest of the season. You generally do pretty well. Now, interestingly, Loom this season, he didn't. As a juvenile, he didn't run after his run in the Norfolk. He finished 3rd in his group, 7th of 13 overall, so he's got experience in his course and distance. He was gelded over the winter, came back with a sort of fair 33-1 5th of 10 at Newmarket, went to York, ran a blinder to finish 2nd of 20 behind the horse called The Man. He was ridden patiently that day, he did best of the closers, and then last time out, that good all-age handicap at York, a solid effort. And with Fahey's horses in better form now, I think he's going to run a big race if he lines up here.
Yeah, Loom then for the Palace of all the races I didn't expect you to be going to. I don't know, but the Palace of Holyrood House Stakes was the one I was not anticipating. Now you can see on screen there that he doesn't currently have a price, so do make sure to note that when the prices do go up with Bitano.
Can I make up my own?
Absolutely not. Well, no, not for yourself. In general speaking, perhaps it would be good to get a gauge. But yeah, that's so make sure to see what Loom is priced up at then for the Palace of Holyrood House Stakes. Number 8 to you, Dave.
Yeah, see, I'm not surprised that Andrew's gone for that, which is why I've kept to the more obvious races. So it's in number 8 is the Commonwealth Cup, and it's Babouche. So this is the race that Inish Erin won last year. I've misquoted myself in the last one, but that's why I kept them next to each other to try and stop myself slipping up, but that didn't work, did it? For this race, though, there's a bit of a profile that I quite like to look for it. So we've got 9 of the last 10 winners were rated 111 plus, 8 of the 10 winners were single figure price, 8 of the 10 winners were drawn stall 8 or lower, which at the moment we don't know what that's going to be. 8 of the 10 winners did have a group win, 8 of the 10 winners had run that season and 6 of those had won, and 7 of the 10 winners had run at Ascot. Now I like to use these trends and facts to prove anything because there's a couple of horses in here that haven't got the Royal Ascot run, but they tick a lot of the other boxes. So Shadow of Light, with like his obvious ability, his 2-year-old form looks really good. He looks like he's got a proper chance in here, but I just don't think he's as far clear of these at 6 furlongs as he probably was last season. He'll be racing against some new faces, and that's where Babouche comes in because she looks like she's definitely trained on and she hasn't lost any of her speed. Like I say, neither of these runners have been to Royal Ascot, and there are lines of form that go through Whistle Jacket from last season to suggest that Babouche has got a bit to find. But Jo Lyons was very open before her comeback run at the start of this season, saying that he struggled to get her fit. She got beat. 12 days later, went to that Lacken Stakes, and she battered them as well. And that's what I mean about from 2-year-olds going to 3-year-olds. She definitely has trained on. She hasn't lost any of her speed, and I think she looks faster than ever. So there's no reason to think that she won't be even more improved, given the fact that it took Jo Lyons a bit of time to get her ready, and that was only 12 days after a defeat. I just think the top 2 in the market should be much closer together, and that makes Babouche a really, really attractive option in this race. I do just want to quickly give a mention to another horse in here, which is Leah Varney, who I really rate her as well. think she'll come on for the run, but I just don't think she's quite up to this. But she would definitely be one for like your place spots or if there's extended places out there. But Babouche is definitely my idea of the winner of the race. And I do think 4-1's a cracking price.
Yeah, Leovani's obviously at a bigger price there, but it is funny, isn't it, with Ger Lines? He's ever the pessimist about his horses. He downplays everything he possibly can, but yeah, he knows how to train. If she comes over then for this, which of course we're hoping for, 4-1 with Batano for the Commonwealth Cup. Going Babouche at number 8 for Dave. Andrew, back to you, number 7.
Right, I'm going for another sprinter, American Affair in the King Charles III stake, the race formerly known as the King Stand. I'm pleased they've dropped that name because I never knew where to put the apostrophe. So a lot simpler this time around. So yeah, regular Weekend Watch viewers will know that I'm keen on American Affair. I put him up in my column when he won at Musselburgh on his reappearance, beating JM Jungle into second. I deserted him next time out when they took each other on again in a hot handicap at York, thinking that his high draw was going to be a disadvantage. It was, but he still managed to win, storming down the outside of the field, again beating JM Jungle into second place. And obviously we've mentioned JM Jungle as he's getting more mentions than Frank or JM Jungle on this show at the moment. He's obviously Frank the Form. And I was very confident that he could make the transition to Group 2 company in the Temple Stakes at Haydock next time. He looked well drawn towards the stand side rail. However, he had a bit of an awkward start, and Paul Mulrennan sort of turned a good draw into a bad one by switching him to the centre of the track. Met trouble in running, stayed on well, not beaten far in 5th place. And Magira, the one who stayed down the stand side virtually solo, ended up winning that race. Now, there's a quote from Paul Mulrennan, who is regular rider, who rode him to victory in the Portland last year, which basically says he's still babyish. What's he going to, and raw, what's he going to be like with another year on his back? So I think American Affair is going to be a sprinter to be reckoned with this year in group company. I think Ascot's going to suit him well because he's a hold-up performer. As I mentioned before, the Temple Stakes, that it's a case of the better the race, the faster they're going to go, the bigger the field, and Ascot's wide open spaces will ensure that he doesn't get the trouble in running that he did at Haydock. So yeah, American Affair, and he's a big price as well, I think.
Yeah, 20-1 with Batano for the King Charles III stakes. Now a 5-year-old as well. So yeah, you're hoping that he is, the penny's dropping for him now finally, and that he is going to go on to be able to show his best speed as well, because he will certainly need to in that 5 furlong.
I just want to mention one other, if I may, for that. Rumstar, who is a quirky so-and-so who only seems to win when he's drawn on the outside of a field. He'll win from stall 1 of 12, 12 of 12. When he won at Newmarket, when I mentioned him on Weekend Watch earlier this year, he was 1 of 12. So if he's going to be a massive price because he was beaten in the Temple Stakes when drawn in stall 3. If he gets sort of 1 of 20 or 20 of 20 here, is a horse to be interested in at huge odds.
Yeah, definitely. So Rumstar on the wing.
Yeah, Rumstar on the wing.
Really Rumstar on the wing.
You put it a lot better than I did, a lot more concisely.
No, it was just me trying to embed it in my own brain so I can remember it, to be honest with you. So yeah, I would definitely be watching out for that angle. Right though, but we're going with American Affair as the main play, 20-1 for the King Charles III stakes. Dave, back to you.
Yeah, so number 7 for me is kind of a similar approach to Andrew in the fact that the horse didn't get the best race of it last time, but will benefit from that experience. And it's in the Prince of Wales Stakes, and it's White Birch. It's been nibbled since I submitted this. I think he was 8, so now he's 7, so probably should be getting that boosted, shouldn't we? But the fact that he's been nibbled I can understand it, because I obviously want to make a case for him in this race anyway. But it was a real eye catcher in that race last time out. It was a good looking race, but he was just really short of room on the inside. Now, I've already mentioned Kalpana with another horse. I really do like her, and we know that it's all roads lead to the Arc for her, so she's not going to be running to her best level at this stage. But White Birch and Kalpana were level with each other at the back of the field as they came to the last couple of furlongs. White Birch got blocked in. Kalpana had a lovely clear passage on the outside, and she took 3 lengths out of White Birch, but by the finish, he's only been beaten ahead by her into 4th. I think if he'd got a clear run, he actually would have won that race last time out. He is just a good, top level performer. Now, he was denied a tilt at this 12 months ago, wasn't he? I think they had a little bit of a setback, and they've talked about with him as well that after that last race that he's come out of it very well. As long as he continues to train well, I think they'll have to come to Ascot, because they did miss it last year, but they have said that he might go straight to the cover eclipse. So that tempers enthusiasm slightly with the anti-post side of things, but I think his price is going to hold up, because this does look a pretty deep race. I just think if they do decide to come in, that's a real sign of intent, and obviously that he has come out of it well. And this type of race will suit a horse like him because he's just such a strong traveller and he stays so strongly through the line as well. Like I say, it is competitive, but if he's about 7-8 to 1 and we're getting, we're definitely going to get a few places because it'll be a decent sized field. He just feels like an absolute freebie of an each way bet that he's definitely going to be bang there. And if he gets a little bit more luck than last time, then he probably will win this race. Just to touch on a couple, just one other in here, because I said it is a pretty deep race. Ombudsman's a horse that I thought looked like he could be unworldly, and he could be absolutely anything. There's a few in here that potentially have that little that quota about them. They could be the next best things. But I've got to be as harsh as I can be with horses like that because I know he was carrying a penalty, but he did get beat last time out. But like I say, the bit of depth that's in there means we're getting a reasonable price about White Birch. So I think anything north of sort of 5 to 1 about him is a pretty good bet.
Yeah, he's such a talented horse, isn't he? And like you say, you know at least that when connections are going to run him, that he is going to be ready for the day and they won't take the chance or the risk if the ground's not right for him, or they won't travel him over then if they are in any way doubtful about him. So 7 to 1 with Botano at the time of recording looks a good way to go for the Prince of Wales Stakes. Right, Andrew, your last selection for this part of the show. Make it count, please.
Yep, another sprint and one of the trickier ones, the Wokingham. I'm going for Invictus Gold for the Tom Clover yard. Now, this one bombed out on his debut at Yarmouth last spring in a 5 furlong novice, 5 furlong maiden. Finished last of 6 as a 9 to 2 shot, but he was gelded soon afterwards. He reportedly had a training setback and then turned up in July on the all-weather at Southwell. Won very easily in a big field by almost 2 lengths. Followed that with a novice win under a penalty at Newmarket, again winning by 2 lengths in a double-figure sized field. And he's just been progressing since. Now, he was beaten next time, but he was in on soft ground and listed company at York. And he was also ridden patiently and got a bump at the start, and that sort of prompted him to race keenly. And that was a race where the 20 to 1 winner made all, the 5 to 1 runner-up was in second place throughout, and nothing got into it from the back. So to get on in 5th, beaten 2 and a bit lengths, probably wasn't a bad effort. This season, he looked like he would come on for his comeback run, went 3rd to Double Rush in a fast time at Newmarket. And then last time, he's running another 6 furlong Newmarket handicap. This time, he's won by 3 1/4 lengths from American Star. That race is working out really well. The runner-up went back to Newmarket, finished 2nd in another good handicap. And you've got So Darn Hot, the 3rd, who came out and won at Windsor recently. Stormy Impact in 6th came out and won the 3-year-old dash at Epsom, of course, last week. 7th place Principality went to Goodwood next time, was very unlucky in 4th in a hot 7 furlong handicap. So the form's been boosted, the times are good. He's progressing nicely and he looks like a group horse in a handicap. And although it's only his 7th career start, it's quite an ask for a 3-year-old. I thought he had a great chance.
Yeah, certainly. So at 14 to 1 as well. Invictus Gold, 14 to 1 with Botano for the Wokingham. We should be calling you Fast Andy at this stage, shouldn't we? It's just been all sprinters so far. So
that wasn't my nickname when I used to play football.
No, but we're making amends now all the same. Right, Dave, back to you, please. Your last horse for this part of the show.
Yeah, this will be one that's probably going to be the most concise I can make a case for because it's Asphora for the King Charles III Stakes. Just an easy winner at this meeting last year, and I thought she looked good value for the win too. There was a few horses that ran well behind her, but she really did look above them. And then when I've watched it back on reflection, I think at the time, because I bet against her, I was a little bit dismissive of just how impressive she was in the race. But like I say, on reflection, she was all over him. She's a year older now. It was quick round last year. She's going to get that again. But she has got back form on soft ground. So I don't care what the going is for her. I think she is absolutely still the one to beat. Her comeback run this season shows she's still running to the same level as she was this time last year. So I think I can't believe she's as big as she is at 7 to 1. I think she should be favoured for this race, and I think she gets another Royal Ascot win. There is a horse I'm a big fan of as well that could come in here, which is Believing, and I'm sure the draw cost her a Numford win last year, but then she went over to Ireland and then she got beat again, and it wasn't because of the draw. She did get a breakthrough Group 1 win, didn't she, for new owners at 6 furlongs, but that's what I'm saying, that this is at 5 furlongs, as much as Believing's a nice type. Asphora is just going to show him a clean pair of hoofs again, I think.
At 7 to 1 to go back and retain her crown in the King Charles III Stakes. It is quite dismissive, really, isn't it, for her, considering it doesn't seem that much of a deeper race at this stage anyway, does it, than last year? So, yeah, she's another year older. What was she? Age 6? So, yeah, no reason to really side against her as such. 7 to 1 then with Botano. Right, lads, that is the first part of the show done. But you know what's up now? It's quiz time. Now, it's everyone's favourite part of the show. It is quiz time, Royal Ascot quiz time. So I'm going to ask the lads 10 questions. Andrew Mount has supplied the buzzers. So, lads, I just want to give you a demonstration opportunity for your buzzers. Dave, what have you got set as your sound?
The classic Royal Ascot winner of Boban. I mean, it could be Duvan as well, to be fair.
I know, not quite the Royal Ascot horse Duvan that we associated with Vauban, definitely so. We will allow you a jump horse for that. Andrew?
I've gone more obvious.
There you go.
I thought the batteries had gone.
To be fair, we might have a handicapping system going on here then if the batteries are starting to go on yours.
Thank my eldest child who was crying this morning when I took this offer to bring it down
wonderful.
here.
Brilliant news then. So all for the greater good, I hope
Absolutely.
that you told her for GG. Right, 10 questions, lads. Fingers on the buzzers, ready to go. First one to buzz in, but you have to answer quickly though after you buzz. Question number 1. What is the opening race at Royal Ascot?
Queen Anne.
Yes. I don't know what sound your buzzer made. First point goes to Andrew Mount. So we'll
That's
get
one
that.
more than I got the Cheltenham quiz.
There you go. Got your little tick sorted there.
Oh, lovely.
Right, question 2. How many Group 1 races are there at Royal Ascot?
8.
Yes.
Oh, well done, Dave.
Point each. Right, 1 all then. I'm glad your buzzer worked, to be honest. Question number 3. What is the most expensive race at Royal Ascot?
Gold Cup.
No.
Good.
St James's Palace Stakes.
No.
Can we stop now? No more guesses. Just admit defeat the both of us.
The 6 furlong sprint, the Group 1, the Platitubes, Queen Elizabeth, whatever.
As one of them. Yep. The Queen Elizabeth II Stakes. And there is another one as well, the same value.
The King Charles III.
Nope. You're getting closer. Well, I mean, we're running out of options is why. I'll give you a clue. Prince.
Prince of Wales Estate.
Yes.
That's a big clue, isn't it?
I was going to give you a really clever clue then. I thought, no, I'm just going to say
You could have said Jug Ears or something like that, and then
I would never think of doing such a thing. £567,100 worth is what both of those races are to the pound itself.
about what it costs for this set.
Pretty much, exactly. We need to be bang up there in terms of the most expensive at Royal Ascot. Right, question 4. In what year did Blue Point win 2 races in one Royal Ascot meeting? What year did Blue Point?
Once.
2011.
Nope.
2016?
Nope.
I think it's a lot later than that, isn't it? You throw me off by going early.
2018.
Nope.
2020?
Oh, no.
On.
2019.
Yes. All you had to do was one more up. And I knew you were going to go 2020 then. 2019, Blue Point did the Royal Ascot double. Right, question number 5. Which horse has won the most races at Royal Ascot?
Yates.
Yes. Bonus point, can you name how many wins at Royal Ascot?
Ooh, I'm going to say 5, but I don't think it
4.
is it.
Yes. Oh, I don't know if I can give that now as a bonus point.
4.
The system took, 4 questions to go completely out the window. But yes, it was Yates with 4 wins. So the scoreboards, let's have a check at the halfway point. Dave is streaking ahead by 2-1. Don't know how you both managed to get question 4 wrong there, but anyway, I'm going to leave it into the lap of the scoreboards. Right, question number 6. Which jockey has ridden the most winners at Royal Ascot?
Ryan Moore.
No.
Lester Piggott.
Yes. Bonus point, can you name how many?
8.
You just want to press your buzzer.
82.
No, it's 118, isn't it? Or 119.
It's very close. 116.
Ryan Moore's
Very
right,
close.
isn't he?
Very close. I don't know, how did you manage to, how did you get that? Nearly.
I remember it now you said it. I was thinking of the modern era. We'll reframe that question. Can I have half a point?
No, you definitely cannot. No, I have to be strict on this one. I will let you two get away with murder for the Cheltenham one, so I have to be strict on the Royal Ascot one this time around. Right, question number 7. What is the oldest race at Royal Ascot?
Gold Cup.
Yes. Bonus point, name the year. That is, wow. That it's
1807.
Yes. There must be a
Told you I've been
there must
doing-
be a bar called 1807 at Ascot, is there?
I've been revising.
No, you have not. You're such a liar. Yeah, okay, I'm going to give you a bonus point. Not that anyone's keeping track of bonus points. For your own, just for you and how well you've done in your own mind, we'll give you that. Right, question number 8. Rank these 3 countries by their Royal Ascot wins. We have Australia, Japan, and America. Rank them in order.
America, Australia, Japan.
Yes, very well done. I mean, to be fair, if I gave you the bonus point for if you can get how many wins per country, then I will be very, very impressed. So America, anyone want to take a stab at America's wins? Moban? No.
12.
No, 14. I'm not going to go through it again. 14. Australia, any guesses?
6.
No.
8.
No. 10. Japan. Royal Ascot wins.
0.
But Buzz.
0.
Yay! Seamless transition. Yeah, 0 wins for Japan, which still is quite alarming at this point. Right, question number 9, arguably the trickiest question of them all. Who was the last Royal Ascot winner who also ran at the Cheltenham Festival?
Dawn Rising.
Yes, Joseph O'Brien's, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Pulled up behind Stairway Fate in the Albert Bartlett
He did.
because I backed him.
Oh my goodness. And then went on to...
Royal Ascot, I thought, typical.
Also in the Vauban one, I think.
Not quite
The other handicap.
the
Something. One of the races at Royal Ascot.
the last one on my last day, isn't it?
Holy
The Queen Alexandra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Queen Alexandra. Can you name the year? I want to get some sort of trickiness out of this question.
Could be 2023.
Yes. Oh my God. This was meant to be.
Did you say 2023? I think you did you? Oh no.
This was meant to be the impossible question, and you both got it like that. Okay. Well, that foiled us.
Andrew did, to be fair. I don't think I'd have got Dawn Rising. As soon as you said it, it made sense. Right? I didn't add it back in my head.
Dawn Rising, it was in 2023, pulled up in the Albert Bartlett before winning the Queen Alexandra Stakes.
Do you want the SP as well?
Go on.
2 to 1.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, you definitely backed him. Right, question 10 then. This will be easy in comparison. How many winners does Willie Mullins have at Royal Ascot?
8.
Nope.
I mean, Vauban, one of them. 6.
Nope.
10.
Yes, we had to have a decider. Well, I don't know if we had to have a decider. I've been keeping tabs. 10 is the answer for Willie Mullins. How many winners that he has had at Royal Ascot? Right, final scores on the doors. That is 4 to Andrew and 3 to Dave. Oh goodness me, it was a close run thing.
Was it
but
though?
Not really.
It was, and it says Cheltenham, not Ascot mental, so I'll just leave that.
Yeah, so you didn't get the Cheltenham question for the final one, is all I'm saying. But lads, that was an absolute joy and a triumph, I think, for everyone.
And
but,
not as embarrassing as the Cheltenham one.
No, exactly. For Andrew Mount and for Franco as well, congratulations, the winner of the Royal Ascot quiz.
Thank you. What do I win?
Absolutely diddly. Well, hopefully you enjoyed the quiz. I certainly did, but it is now back to the main event. 5 to 1 time for the lads' best bet. Andrew, you won the quiz. You get to go first again.
Excellent. Franco, I don't need to do that anymore, do I?
I would love it if you did, to be honest.
Well, maybe not. Right, my number 5 bet is Big Mojo in the Commonwealth Cup, 14 to 1 with Botano at the time of recording. He signed off last year with a close-up 4th in the Juvenile Turf Sprint at the Breeders' Cup. And he's continued his progression this year. He came back from wind surgery to win the Commonwealth Cup trial over course and distance in late April. Now, he impressed me that day because the race was run to suit the closers. The 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th all came from well in rear. But he was the only one to chase a very strong early pace that made any impact on the race. He had over 4 lengths to spare over the next prominent racer to finish, who was back in 6th place. He's then gone to Haydock for the Sandy Lane Stakes, a key Commonwealth Cup trial. And although beaten there, he wasn't beaten far by Symbol of Honour, who went down by a length and a half after meeting trouble in running, because Symbol of Honour as a gelding can't run in this race, so he hasn't got that rival to face. And also the ground would have been a shade slower than ideal. He really likes top of the ground, and given the weather forecast, I'm expecting sort of genuine good to firm at Ascot. Yeah, I think Big Mojo is going to run a big race.
14 to 1 with Botano. It's just great to see these really good juveniles and really fast juveniles being able to go on as a 3-year-old as well. So hopefully he runs a big race for you in the Commonwealth Cup at 14 to 1 with Botano. Dave, over to you, number 5.
Yes, we're getting into the good stuff now. It's the top 5, right? So My selection comes in the Gold Cup, and it's Trawlerman. I think he's about 4-1 at the time of recording. Look, Illinois is an understandable favourite for this. He's very consistent, and he's got strong Group 1 form. You look at his last 6 RPRs, they've been between 113 and 119. He's only a 4-year-old, so he's got the potential for so much more this season. It's pretty similar with Candelari as well. He's another one that's like a bit of a younger horse in the scheme of this race. Even less exposed than Illinois. Cited as a good ground horse, and he's another horse that I've no excuses in here, but I think we're looking at gift horse in the mouse with Trawlerman, because for all that he's been here and done it at Ascot, he has been here 6 times and been beaten 5 times. Oh, sorry, 5 times I think he's been here and he's been beaten 4 times. And I think that's probably why he's as underappreciated in the market as I think he is. He's only going to give £1 to the 4-year-old, so that's negligible in my opinion, especially over 2.5 miles. And since the end of 2023, he's posted just 1 RPR below 114. That came in Maidan when he put up a 111, and then his next lowest of 114 was also over in Maidan, but this obviously isn't Maidan, it's Ascot, right? In the long distance cup, he posted his highest RPR at the time. That was back in 2022. That was of 114, and then he took the scalp of Kyprios and posted that was him posting his 3rd consecutive career high RPR. That ended at 120. I've touched on obviously some Ascot form. There's loads of other runs that he's had where I probably possibly could excuse him. The long distance cup when he ran in there last season was when it was on soft ground. He looked like he needed a bit quicker and looked like he needed a bit further too. But in this race last year, for all that Kyprios did get the better of him, he ran a proper good race. He saw the trip out, and I think because these two had clashed in the form as the other way around in that long distance cup before, Ryan Moore knew how to ride Kyprios to beat Trawlerman. And it did look like he did that in the race. It looked like he respected Trawlerman as a rival in there. So I think that Trawlerman is the horse to beat in this race. We know he's good at Ascot. And like I said, for the fact that he's been beaten 4 times out of 5 at Ascot, he's still a horse that's beaten Kyprios at this track. So I think he's got a proper chance. I think 4-1's more than fair.
Yeah, 4-1 now, even without Kyprios as well, which is quite a fair price with Bitano at the time of recording. Trawlerman to go 1 better in the Gold Cup than he did last year for Dave. Andrew, back to you, number 4.
Number 4 for me is Flora of Bermuda in the Queen Elizabeth II Jubilee Stakes, the race formerly known as the Platy Jubes.
Yes, it was. I know, what a shame. What a shame.
There's one for your bingo card, so you knew that was going to get mentioned. What price are we talking here? 14-1? Yeah, that seems fair as an each-way poke against Dave's Innis Sharon, who I do respect in this race. Now, Flora of Bermuda has only won twice from 14 starts, both against her own sex. The latest of those wins at York last July. But since then, her 4 runs in open company have been pretty good. She was 4th of 15, when a 30-1 shot for the Group 1 Prix Maurice de Geest, I should say. 5th of 16 at 33-1 in the Group 1 Sprint Cup at Haydock. 3rd in the Champion Stakes over course and distance, Champion Sprint Stakes last October, 25-1 that day, only beaten by half a length. And last time out in the Duke of York, behind Innis Sharon, she's only gone down by a neck at 14-1. So she keeps running blinders at big prices in these good sprints. And the key to her really is she comes from off the pace, so it's the case that the faster they go, the better. And she seems a better horse in better races. And I think she's going to run another big race here. Now, she's only had one other run at Ascot, aside from that Champion Sprint Stakes 3rd. That was in the Queen Mary, when she was 6th of 26, but she won the race on the far side when you needed to be drawn high. I actually tipped her up that day in my GG column, and it's one of those frustrating ones. You've found the right horse, she's beaten her group, but you're not getting paid because she's only 6th overall, and they're paying first 5 and you're on each way. So hopefully she can eradicate that painful memory.
Definitely. 14-1 with Bitano as well for the QE2 Jubes. It just doesn't quite hit the same.
No, not got the same ring, is it?
Doesn't have the same ring to it. I love these Bermuda horses though, the ownership group, the Bermuda Racing Limited, the fact that they've got that triangle on the silks as well. I really like following all of these Bermuda horses, mainly for that reason alone, to be honest with you. So I will happily row in with my non-analytical brain on that sense, 14-1 with Bitano for Flora of Bermuda. Number 4, Dave.
So number 4 for me, I picked this because of the pretty name as well. It's Venetian Sun in the Albany. I mean, it is a nice name, to be fair.
It is.
Well, we have got a price up. So yes, 4-1 with Bitano. Wasn't priced up when we've sent this stuff over. I think that's fair, especially considering Lady Imam is not likely to come here. Worth mentioning her because she landed back Group 3 in Nace that's produced the last 4 winners. The winner of that race have come here and taken this race. So obviously she's not coming here. But in that race, there was a Aidan O'Brien horse called Simply Astounding. As soon as she jumped out the stalls, Ryan Moore looked down to his like rear left. Something was amiss. I don't think she's going to make it to Royal Ascot. She's potentially the one to take out the race, given she was off as favourite and like the linear progression she should have had. She arguably would have won that race, but you can't say that after they've just been beaten in the race, right? And you don't want to be taking risks in most of your punting, let alone when it comes to Royal Ascot week. But you look at someone like, especially when it comes to Royal Ascot, you look at someone like Carl Burke. He's just a phenomenal target trainer. Since this race was formed in 2002, I think it was, he's had 5 runners in this race. One of those was a winner. And I'd be more inclined to look at recent years. So since 2020, he's had three runners. Had the winner, which was Dandella. He's had an 8th and a 7th, but they were priced at sort of 17 to 1 and 33 to 1. I think they were all on the exchanges. The winner that he had was a 7 to 1 poke. Now, Flora Bermuda's, we can see, is 4 to 1. I think she's going to go off favourite for this one. Draw could play a role in this race, which is worth mentioning. The last few winners have been drawn in 2, 4, 8 and 6, I think it was. But then there was a period where 16 of the 17 winners came from stalls 10 to 11. Then you go back to the first 2 renewals, and then it was stalls 1 and 7. So there has been periods where you might want to be drawn in a certain place. But if you look at that spread since the race has been run, I don't think it will matter where she's drawn. So that doesn't put me off getting stuck into her before that draw's come out. Carl Burke's been very open in his interviews, saying there's a few horses. The one that's going to go in the race that Leah Varney won begins with a Z. I can't remember the name of that off the top of my head. But he keeps getting pushed about her, saying that she looks like a phenomenal horse. And he says, yeah, I've got this one that's going to run here. When she steps up to 6 furlongs, she's going to be a bit of a weapon. And then he sent her to Carlisle on her debut, which he always says it's a track he wants to send his best horses to. She won nicely there. The runner-up was carrying a winner's penalty, and it was her 3rd start. So I think that's the winner's penalty, and the fact that she'd had the race experience sort of negates the fact that she was getting weight from her. But she went out and won the Hilary Needler after that with a similar RPR. Like I say, he's just been so open about what this horse potentially can be. And her opening debut RPR was of 87. When he won this with Dandella, it was an 80. And that trial that's been so prevalent to finding winners in the last few years over in Naas, like I say, the favourite bombed. The one that actually did win the race probably isn't going to come out because she's quite exposed now. So I think we're going to go back to a more traditional winner of the Albany. And I think Venetian Sun's going to be just that. So she's going to get Friday off to a really good start.
Yeah, like so first race on the Friday, then over the 6 furlongs for the Albany, 4 to 1 with Batano, Venetian Sun. Right, it's getting serious now. Number 3, Andrew.
No messing around. Having gone to Bermuda, I'm now going to Trinidad.
You're just hoping to be honest, aren't you? Just, manifesting that this is going to happen.
Exactly. So yeah, La Trinidad, a big price for the Royal Hunt
Yeah, I
Cup.
mean, if this one does go in, you can go to La Trinidad and Bermuda.
Yeah, now La Trinidad is an 8-year-old, which wouldn't be the typical profile of Royal Hunt Cup winners, but I'm looking at this from an each-way angle. Now, he seems to be getting better with age. He was only £1 off his career best Racing Post rating when 3rd to Old Cock at York last month. That was impressive because he did best of those to come from off the pace when it paid to race handy. And it was also slightly surprising because he's rarely a horse who does anything before high summer. He's got a touch of the Mr. Wagyus about him. He tends to do best from June to August, and he's got an incredible record in the month of June. 6 runs have produced 5 wins and a 28 to 1 4th of 15 at Epsom when meeting trouble in running. He rarely comes south. He tends to ply his trade on the Knaves Mile mostly. So that Epsom run suggests that he can mix it with the Southern Yards if he does come down here. The switch to a straight track from York won't bother him. He's a dual Doncaster winner. He loves fast ground. He should have his conditions to suit. And I say that 5 wins and a 28 to 1 4th from 6 runners in June is quite a telling stat. And I think he's going to run a big race each way.
Yeah, 50 to 1. The Trinidad Royal Hunt Cup 50 to 1 with Batano as well for him. Right, we said we were getting into serious stuff. He chucked in a 50 to 1 shot tape.
And I've gone for my shortest prize runner of the whole 10. In the St. James's Palace Stakes, it's Field of Gold. And I know he is a short-priced runner in here, but I just think he's now an impossible to get beat. The race he hasn't been blown open, but the fact that Rawlin Court didn't run in the Derby and he may be coming in here, it's a bit factored in the price, but we see season after season that just because a horse gets the better of another horse in a Guineas, especially the 2000 Guineas at Newmarket, doesn't always stand the test of time after. And I thought it was a really good renewal of the Guineas. I don't think the race disappointed at all, although I'm sure backers of Field of Gold in that race would probably disagree because lots was said about the ride. If you look at what he did in the Irish version, in the Irish 2000 Guineas after though, when he was, I guess the easiest way to say it is the button was pushed for him a little bit sooner. I think they got harder at him sooner in the race. And I think they just learned from their mistake in the Newmarket 2000 Guineas that he's a horse that's got loads of ability, but maybe you really need to say to him, right, now go for me, boy, and put a bit more effort into it. So they've learned so much. I think he's progressed loads from the Newmarket version. I think he would have progressed loads from this Irish 2000 Guineas version. And while there might have been that's like a slight area around it where you'd think, well, if he and Ruling Court faced off again, I don't know how they reversed the form after that Newmarket run. What he did in Ireland would suggest that I don't believe that Ruling Court could get the better of him in the repeat version here. And obviously with Ruling Court being prepped for that derby, it's a 10-day turnaround for this. And I know the distance shouldn't make a difference to the fitness, but if you're going to get a horse to be at their absolute peak for a derby, I would suggest you're probably a bad trainer if 10 days later he's just as good. So I would say that Field of Gold will be absolutely primed for this and has got no excuses. And the 10 to 11 about him, I still think is a fair enough price. Ruling Court, I do respect him coming in this race. If he does or if he doesn't come, I don't mind, because Field of Gold will beat him. And every horse would need to be completely and utterly on their A game. And I do think that this trip, even if Ruling Court was on his A game, which I cannot see how he could be, I still don't think he'd beat him. So yeah, Field of Gold's a pretty strong selection, but he's 3 because, he is not short enough. I still think he's an okay price, but we want a bigger price selection for the next best and the Nap, don't we?
Well, we will see. We shall see. You've teed it up nicely there, but to reverse the form with Ruling Court, where, as you say, thought that he didn't run in the derby. When you're training an elite athlete to peak up at the right time on the right day, if you're turning around quickly there afterwards, I mean, like I say, it's tricky, isn't it? It either takes a masterful trainer or perhaps not a great training effort at the same time. It's a really tricky kind of middle ground to be in for Ruling Court. So Field of Gold, we know he's been aimed at this. He was always going to go for it. 10 to 11 now with Betano. He has been clipped in for the St. James's Palace Stakes. Right. Number 2 time, Andrew. I knew that was the way to
no more 50 to 1 shots this time.
No, your next best bet, otherwise known as.
Having visited Bermuda and Trinidad, the third leg of the Whistle Stop Tour is Los Angeles in the Prince of Wales' stakes.
Yes. Lots of apostrophes.
Put the apostrophe where you like. Yeah. I mean, in Los Angeles, my theory about him is that he's just ground dependent. Now, while he has, run well on ground described as sort of, good to soft or soft, including in France, when you look at his runs in Britain and Ireland, it's all down to the ground. You look at that classed by Proform as good or faster. He's had 6 runs, 5 wins, and that close-up 4th in a vintage Irish Champion Stakes last year, won by Economics, when he was an 8 to 1 shot, well behind stablemate Auguste Rodin in the betting. And he was ridden patiently that day. He kept on well. He only finished a length and a quarter behind the winner. I think it was a case of very much he kind of, the jockey's instructions were to let Ryan, I expect Ryan's going to win kind of thing, and do what you can. So I think on his form this season as well, 2 from 2, beating Amnat at the Curragh last time over that extended 10 furlong trip again. I think he's going to get his ground this time around. Now, he did bomb out on his sole previous visit to Ascot. That was in the Champion Stakes last year. It was officially soft that day. It was too slow for him. And he only finished 9th of the 11 runners. But so that's another reason that makes me think it's just down to the ground with him. The quicker it is, the better he runs. Everything points to genuinely good to firm or even quicker ground next week. So let's hope Los Angeles can make it 3 from 3 for the season.
Yeah, bidding for the hat trick as well. I was going to ask you actually about the ground in terms of the weather, but we haven't got any impending serious weather to be altering the ground all that much.
No, I think it's just a case of how much water they're going to put on.
Yeah, which is another question in itself. But who knows then at that point.
That obviously makes it difficult from the draw bias, because if they race on one side of the track one day, water gets in the divots and the ground's been opened up, and then the bias might swing to the other side. So.
It's a good thing I don't even attempt to go to that level of detail then. So I will leave that to you guys for that. Los Angeles, so Prince of Wales, the stakes 2 to 1 with Betano. Dave, your next best.
So this is the biggest price selection of all the 10. I really fancy this horse. It's in the Wokenham Stakes. It's Puro Sangue at 20 to 1 at the time of recording. I think that's a filthy price. Now, I was really bullish on the Change of Man as my Nap for Cheltenham as my best handicap bet, and obviously came up just 1-2 short. But I have the same sort of confidence, I suppose, behind Puro Sangue, but obviously he's a massively bigger price. Now, More Thunder is a rightful favourite for this race. 2 from 2 since leaving Stout and joining Agus, both in handicaps, both at 6 furlongs and both at Newmarket. He's up now £11 from that first run of the season, and he won well enough, I suppose, last time out because he was out the back. But he was a bit outpaced. I think the £6 rise, potentially racing on quicker ground now, is going to find him out. So, like I say, I fully respect him. But Pure Sanguine was only a couple of lengths behind him in that last run at Newmarket. He's got an £8 swing with that horse. They were both out the back. Oisin Murphy decided to move Pure Sanguine away from the stand side to the far side to get some daylight to let the horse progress. A horse moved in front of him. It wasn't enough to really like fully stall him, but it was enough to like jar his momentum, is probably the best way of wording it. And then the same thing happened again when he was closing in towards the latter stages of the race. So you can upgrade that last run, but Oisin didn't really get fully after him in that race. It's like he didn't mind the fact that there were some horses getting his way with what I looked at it as. You have to look at his 2-year-old form to go back for when he's last won a race, but you go to his 3-year-old season last year, he was just running in group company all the time. The only exception was when he was favourite for the Stewards Cup at Goodwood, sent-off favourite for that, restless in the stalls, and then just ran no sort of a race. So that is a bit of a red flag coming into a big handicap at Ascot like this, but that's happened now. They'll be able to learn from that. There's no way they haven't worked on him at home with it, and he's had those 2 handicap start this season where he's shown no signs of doing the same stuff at the start of it. Those runs last year as well, despite the fact he didn't win, he almost won the Group 3 charge at Sandown on soft ground. He almost won the listed Garraby, I think it was at York, on good to soft, but he has won on good to firm ground too. So he's entirely versatile. 20 to 1 for the Wokingham just looks like a real filthy each way price, but I think he's got a proper chance of winning it. And I do some friends bits as well for the Ascot Festival, look at the cheat sheet bits. He ticks every single box for the Wokingham too. So those boxes are, all of the last 10 winners were Irish or British bred. 9 of the last 10 winners had run at Ascot and 7 had run more than once. 9 of the last 10 winners had run that season. 9 of the last 10 winners had 12 or more flat runs. 8 of the last 10 winners were a double figure price, so let's hope he doesn't get smashed up too much. 7 of the last 10 winners had not won a race that season, and 7 of the last 10 winners had an official rating between 99 and 105. He's off 103. Like, he's got a phenomenal form chance. He ticks the box and everything else. 20 to 1 is just grossly overpriced, so I hope he goes real well.
There you go, one for the trends attacks as well. 20 to 1 with Pitano, Puro Sanguine for the Wokingham as Dave's next best. Drum roll, please. It is nap time. These naps will be boosted as well, so make sure to check out the link in the bio to take advantage of the boosted naps. Andrew, your nap.
I'm going nap on Docklands in the Queen Anne Stakes, first race on day 1. Now, this is definitely an each-way nap. Given his profile, you want to be on each way. What do we know? 20 to 1.
Yeah.
Fifth of the odds. You're getting 4 to 1 that he's in the first 3, maybe even the first 4. I'm not sure how what the places are going to be on the day. But this is all down to course form really, as well as the ground. He loves quick ground. It was too soft for him when he was, probably a shade too soft for him when he was close up third behind Persica at Epsom last time. But you look at his record at Ascot: first, third, second. He loves this straight mile, and I just think he's going to run a cracking race. And jockey used to be ridden by Hayley Turner. Now she's retired again. We're going to get somebody else on there. Possibly Richard Kingscote has been on the last twice. And it's one of these ones, famous last words, I can't see him being out in the first 3. I'm looking at I want to do him in an each-way double as well with Flora of Bermuda. Those are 2 that I really fancy at double-figure prices to be in the first 3 or 4. So that would be a nice each-way double.
That certainly would be, yeah. At 14 to 1 for Flora of Bermuda in the QE2 Jubilee Stakes, and then Docklands 20 to 1 in the Queen Anne Stakes as Andrew Mann's each way nap of Royal Ascot. So you'll know your fate early. Dave, will we know your fate early as well?
We will, yeah, because just like Cheltenham, I want to kick that off with a winner. I'm going to do the same in the Queen Anne Stakes, and Rosalien is going to win the Queen Anne Stakes. I do respect Docklands, but he's just that, isn't he? It's basically like napping Hitman, isn't it? But like Andrew said there, the price that he is, he's definitely in the frame, like he's got a proper chance of being in there, but that's fine. He can come second to Rosalien, and we can all get paid, can't we? The Lock-ins often holds the key to this race. 15 winners this century have come from there. 9 of those 15 were beaten before landing this, though. That's not to say that Lead Artist and Dancing Gemini can be completely written off, but they had already run that season. They were entitled to be a little bit more forward than the likes of Rosalien and Notable Speech. And Lead Artist was very well supported in that Lock-in. I think as well, I don't think it was a major bias in that race at Newbury, but they were both on the Golden Highway, it felt like where Rosalien and Notable Speech came to the
Yeah, I thought the stead side wasn't favoured. You wanted to be drawn low and race far side at work. Off the stands rail, I do it.
That's it, yeah. So I think both of those had like nice comeback runs, and both trainers were really bullish going into the lock-ins for Rosalien and Notable Speech. Both trainers since have basically said they're going to win this race after. But it's difficult to get away from what happened at this meeting last year when Notable Speech bombed. And I don't trust that he won't do that again. The course form for Rosalien, obviously it is a win round here, but it's also another stat that in this particular race does seem to help. If you've got horses that have never run at this track, they've got a 30% return on investment this century, and it's a 77% return on investment in the last decade. So you do like to see course form, but horses coming in that haven't had a look, you'd be profitable to back those ones blind. But of the horses that have been to Ascot, it's minus 60% return on investment if you just backed everything that ran here. If you backed horses that had run here, won here, and a cent of 4-1 or shorter, that moves up to a 14% return on investment this century and 60% in the last decade. So I think you have to take note of that, the fact that Rosalien has been here, done it, and won the race. That Notable Speech I thought was going to win last year, and he couldn't. And as much as I fancied Notable Speech in the lock-ins, I don't see how he gets by Rosalien in a race like this. So it looks a phenomenal race on paper. I just think sometimes you have to be a bit simple, like back in William Mullins in the Supreme when he's got the hot pot. I do think Rosalien, reading between the lines, is more than a worthy favourite and is going to kick off Royal Ascot with a winner.
We are going to know our fate very early.
Well,
But we've got a forecast. So
I think we should do, forecast, back Docklands without Rosalien. Docklands place only and Docklands each way.
Yep.
And then we need you to come up with one for the trifecta.
I know, yeah, I need to come up with, I'm not going to do that on the fly because that would be very irresponsible of me. But there are 4 initial bets. And then if we chuck Justin Rosalien in to win in himself, there you go. In the opening contest, we've just been given, 5 different ways
I think
to play the race?
Because Lead Artist was good in winning that lock-ins, to be fair, and got is entitled to be still progressing as well. So that would be probably the one for the Tricast. I think Lead Artist would be the main win threat, but I just think Rosalien wins.
There you go. Didn't need me for the third anyway. So there you go. Dave has rounded out the trifecta there. So very nicely done. And the pair of you two with your nap off. For all that you've got the each way, ever so slight caveat in terms of the real head.
I'll settle for second. Dave's made a very good case for Rosalien, who I do regard as the main danger.
Very, very good case. And they're impressive looking lists as well. Now, lads, what I did to you the last time, do you remember? I got you to pick a horse from each other's list there that you would take out of them. So, Dave, if I had to ask you, look at Andrew's list there, which horse would you be taking out of that, and Andrew vice versa?
I'll go for the same method I used for Cheltenham, but hope this time I don't make the horse a non-runner. I think Le Trinidad in the Royal Hunt Cup at 50s, like Andrew said, progressing with age, one of those horses that at those sorts of prices, you're happy if they come 5th or if there's bookies offering 6 places out there. But it's easy enough to make a case when you've got a big priced horse, but it was a pretty strong case that Andrew made. So Le Trinidad would go on my list. I wouldn't swap any of mine out, though. I'm having 11, please.
No, if you could just add them on to the end of 50-1 for the Royal Hunt Cup would be the one that Dave would take out of your list, Andrew. What would you be doing?
Yeah, Rosalien we mentioned as the one I regard as a danger, so that was on the short list. But I think Volterra as well, because that was the one I wanted to save on as well in the Hunt Cup. So I'll go Volterra.
There you go. I get a little bit of agreement there in the Royal Hunt Cup. So taking each other's horse ahead of that really, really competitive handicap. So nicely done, lads. And that rounds off this special show as well. So thank you so much to the pair of you for all of your hard work. Dave, thanks for bringing your Rich Richie scarf. Andrew, thank you for bringing Beatrice's buzzers. And I will thank myself for bringing my Cornish silks as well for the eagle-eyed among you who would have noticed. So we managed to come good on the props. Hopefully we come good on the winners as well. Big thank you to our sponsor, Betano. A bigger thank you to you for watching. Again, do make sure to get involved in the comments section, like, subscribe. If you'd like to become a YouTube channel member as well, there will be a link in the comments below. So make sure to get involved with that and we will be giving you a shout out in due course. But for now, from all of us here at GG, enjoy Royal Ascot.